Giants fans, what is going on? Welcome to the show. You are listening to a free agency discussion here with me and Truth. Truth, what's going on, man? We're back in session, you and me.
That's right. Now this is the fun time of the year, guys. So we can play the GMs and let's put a team together that hopefully can be a playoff team.
Absolutely. So, listen, we appreciate all the fans that are coming in here tonight. Please throw up on the screen, like, who do you guys want to take? I mean, are there any guys that you feel like the Giants should look into? We'll go through a short list here, but, there's obviously a never-ending combination of things the Giants can do here. There's only so many guys they can get that are really blue-chip dudes, and then from there, they're kind of working the backups, which is fine. We do need depth, but, by all means, I mean, it's worth discussing because I think they can walk away with a couple guys that are solidified starters. Take guesses at the positions that they're going to walk away with. I mean, there's obviously needs across the board. I mean, Truth, you let me know. I mean, is there any spot on this team that's really not a need right now?
No, really not even kicker. Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, the injuries, right? Probably our punter. I guess that's the only need we don't need to worry about.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Right?
I would have to imagine. Well, it depends on kicker, though. I mean, it depends on what they do with Graham Gano because he was hurt, right?
Yeah.
So there's a chance. But overall, yeah, no, I kind of feel like there's a lot of opportunities here for the offensive line and defense and whatnot. And we'll see what the Giants end up doing here. I'm very curious to see what the move is. So let's start from the top. You got defensive guys. I got offensive guys. I mean, what position do you want to start with? What group?
Well, it's up to you. I mean, I can go defense if you like. And
go defense. Yeah. Which group? Which position group within them? Corners or?
Yeah. What I did was I took four positions. I took defensive line. I took edge, corner, and safety. And last I looked on over the cap, the Giants are around $22 or $25 million in cap space. This is before they do any cuts, mind you. So that could go anywhere in the high 30s. So, and they did have 13 signed players today. No major moves, but some notable names. I noticed that I think 4 to 5 were offensive linemen. So some recognizable names that you and I have covered in previous drafts that we will do on our draft show. So
yeah.
Yeah, so I think with the Giants, we all would love to see the Giants get those big-time names, You're not going to see a Josh Allen on here. I'd be shocked if they would have a chance because they'll probably franchise tag him anyway if they don't sign him right away. But you're not going to see big names like that. I'm going to try to be realistic here with the names I put down and with the cap space in mind and players who still have some production, who they can help a team. So I'm going to start with cornerbacks. I see you have that up. So
yeah,
on Twitter, I see a lot of guys looking for corners, and they're putting some names up that, these guys have big contracts still on them. And I just can't see the teams, us getting them because it would be a lot of dead money for the team that's getting rid of them. It just wouldn't make sense. It's a nice fantasy to want these kind of players, but I don't see it. So the guys let me start with the guy from the Bengals, Chidobe Azumi, if I'm pronouncing it right.
From the Bengals.
From the Bengals, yeah.
Owuzie, yeah.
Yeah. Now, he had a very productive year this year. It wasn't mind-blowing or it wasn't all pro, but he was very good, steady cornerback for them. And, let's be realistic. The Giants are looking at Banks as their number one corner, and that's what they want. And they're looking to fill that number 2 slot. And we do have guys that can compete for that, especially Trey Hawkins on the roster, who did pretty well, I thought, as a rookie, especially for a 6th-round pick. And I think he's going to get better. He's got the measurements, and apparently he has the work attitude that you like. He works hard and he wants to get better. So
good.
But Azui, and he wouldn't cost much. I went over the cap, and I looked at a lot of projections and spot track as well. And they're saying like a 2-year deal with him, around 5.5 to 6 million per year, would probably do and work for him. So I don't think that's a lot. That's kind of in the middle, I would think. So he'd be a good option. I got is the kid out of the Texans, Houston Texans, Steven Nelson. I watched him a few times. He might be a little bit more pricey, around $7 million a year, and I think that would be the highest.
I was thinking the same thing, really, with almost every position group. Like that's max capacity right now.
Exactly. I think that would be the kind of highest, $7 million.
Right.
So I mean, look, the odds of the Giants, even if he was available, them getting him, probably not. I wouldn't put that in a 50-50 flip a coin. So I would think that he would be a little lesser to get. And the third guy who I put down, who I kind of liked him, I watched him a little bit, was Kenny Moore out of the Colts.
Same dollar range too.
Yes, same dollar range. I believe he's a little younger. So those are the three guys that I didn't want to keep going and do too many guys. And there's so many guys that, knowing Joe Shane, the way he operates, you always got to consider the waiver wire when teams cut. There's always somebody who could fall because of a casualty with the getting cuts and release.
Oh, yeah.
So you might see something like that, obviously. So that's always an option. And Shane does a good job of doing that when he picks guys up in that fashion.
He does.
Yeah. We'll stay in the secondary. Let's go to safety.
Okay.
Now, a lot of chatter the last couple of days with Xavier McKinney.
Well, can I ask real quick, like, if you could summarize your thoughts on McKinney? How do you summarize him?
He had a great look. He had a great year. He had a year like he had, or even better, in 2021. He had a very good year in 2021, and he was climbing that ladder where you say this guy's going to be an All-Pro if he keeps this up. And then he had a setback last year, the accident when he was on vacation, which kind of hindered him and lost play. But he had a very good year. And I know I don't look at the PFF all the time, and we don't know how well that is accurate, but he did grade out very well. In tackling, I was shocked when I saw that. I think he had like a 91% ratio in tackling.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. It just always seems like the Giants do a better job of tackling. So I must have missed that. But I just think he's going to be priced out of, even if the Giants want to bring him back, I just have a feeling that he's going to look for a little bit more than what Spot Track has him as a 5-year deal, $52 million. That's what Spot Track has.
And here's the problem with McKinney. Again, I mean, and this is where the Giants fall trapped to. The inconsistencies are problematic, and he has not been a set, consistent player. He played good on contract year. Now, I'd argue Dexter Lawrence was kind of the same way. That one turned out to be very good. So, I mean, it does happen where it works out fine, but, the Giants want to take a risk here. I mean, 5 years at that much money, that's a lot. We've already shot ourselves in the foot with these signings before.
You're right. And I don't think that's like the top tier. I think that's like the starting point with him. I just have a feeling he's going to look for more. I think he'll try to get a little bit more per year. Could be like 12 plus million a year.
Yeah.
I don't think the Giants, and again, I don't know, guys. I don't know this. It's just going by what we think and what I think. I just don't think Shane would do that, knowing that he's got to, and you talk about this. I watched the show the other night. You stressed it. They got to fix that offensive line.
They have to.
And you'll touch on that when you get to the offensive side of the ball. They got to, and of course, they can go through the draft by doing that. They can do that. But you want to get, I think you got to get a veteran guy in there. It's, for me, in the middle, somewhere in the interior line, obviously one of the guards, because we got our center. We have to get someone in there who can just plug and play him and not worry about him. And if I was the GM, be honest with you, I would take that money from Xavier McKinney and I would put it towards the trenches. Whether you're going to get the offensive lineman or somebody else on the defense side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. That's totally what I expect as well. I mean, draft wise, I could see them taking an edge with that pick, depending on what quarterback's available. I mean, they might not like the quarterback. They might not be able to trade up. They might
Oh,
not
do
find
you?
support to trade up. So if that's the case, then we'll see what the Giants do there. But I think but the problem is if we don't sign McKinney, let's be honest, it does create a hole, right? And now the question
Yes.
is, how do they address the hole? Probably going to leverage the free agency. But what's the dollar range there the Giants are willing to spend? And the problem is the less you want to spend, the more likely you are to get a crappy player. So who's available here at this position?
Well, there's a kid who plays in the same stadium as the Giants, plays for the Jets, Jordan Whitehead.
Yeah.
Now, he's looking at Spot Track. It didn't show a lot that they can get him. Kind of, and he's a young guy, by the way. He's not old, probably the same age as McKinney. Might even be younger. And you could probably get him. And again, it has to be a multi-year deal. Probably a 3 to 4 year range with you could probably get him for $7 million, $7, $8 million. Now that's a lot, but it's not as much as McKinney's. And the kid's a ball hawk. I think he had 4 to 5 interceptions. So he's around the ball. And I think that's the Giants need a guy who's reliable back there.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know who our coordinator is going to be, defensive coordinator. So that could impact who we bring in.
Real quick, Tudo, what's going on, man? Appreciate the love.
Tudo, ¿cómo está, Tudo? ¿Cómo está?
Yeah. And Kevin Zeitler, we will talk about him in a minute.
We'll talk about him. That's definitely on the table, Tudo. We do have that.
Yeah.
And another guy that I like is the kid out of the Dolphins, Deshaun Elliott. I like him too. And again, same price range, maybe a little less, probably less years. So I just don't think the Giants at the safety should commit like that when they have more important needs. The safety position is in the position. It's kind of like the running back position on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
It really is not looked upon as great. It's really the corners have always been and always will be the most important position in the secondary. Then you got the linebackers and the edge rushers; those are very important. So, again, the league and the market always dictates what's important, what positions are important, right? We know that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last thing you want to do, we can say that safety's not as important as cornerback, but you don't want a hole back there.
No, you don't. I tell you right now, they got Pinnock. I think they're going to bring him back, unless there's a crazy notion that he thinks he should get a lot more.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah, and Benton did a good job when they gave him playing time. He did a good job. I'm not saying he's a starter, but he's not a bad guy to throw in there and give him a dozen plus snaps a game.
Yeah,
he's not a bad player. I don't know much about the other kid who they drafted last year out of Houston. Haven't seen him play at the NFL level, so you can't talk too much about him. So he'll just have to compete for a roster spot. But again, they're gonna address that position via free agency or the draft. They're gonna do it, or again, you get the waiver wire as well. I'm gonna jump to the defensive line, and I got 4 guys that. One I got is Sean Robinson, we already have him. They can bring him back if they like. $5 million last year for 1 year deal. Excuse me. They can probably bring him back for the same thing.
Because let's be real, we want a pass rusher here, and no D tackle is really going to fill that spot quite like.
Well, I got that too. I got edge too. I'll put them in.
Yeah.
I got 3 guys. I have edges who aren't going to break the bank. I'm just thinking about some guys to get in there to help defend the run. And again, a Robinson could bring him back for the same price, maybe a little cheaper because he's going to be a year older. I got the other kid on the Ravens, Michael Pierce. Spot Track has him for a 2-year deal of $10 million total. He's a good player. Plays good against the run. I got a tickle in my throat. And he's someone that can help the Giants. I'm just looking for a guy here who can plug and play a little bit as a rotational and can defend the run.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for another Dexter Lawrence because we can't afford another Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, you can't really afford to sign an elite defensive edge. You can just afford to sign a decent one, a complimentary one, but if the Giants really want to get a baller at the edge position, they're going to have to go draft. It economically doesn't make sense
I
to go
agree.
signature yard signing.
I agree with you, and they're there within those first 3 picks, and let me tell you, and we'll get into when we do our draft show. There were a couple of guys in that round 3 who can come in and play for you productively
That's true.
yeah. So another guy I have is now we're looking for a 1-year deal, plug in just rotational. John Jenkins on the Raiders.
Okay.
He's 34 years old, but he was second in the league in total tackles behind Wilkins on the Dolphins. So he makes plays. He makes plays. So that's a 1-year thing. If you're looking to plug and play, I got to be honest with you. I like DJ Davison. I like Jordan Riley. I like when they played. They kind of shared some snaps this year. I like what they did. And so we got some depth there. I just need to add, I think, another guy there to make them a little bit more competitive. And again, everything I'm saying here, Joe Shane can go to the draft.
Yeah.
One more guy I got, and I just think that this guy kind of underachieved, and he's still playing right now, is Javon Kinlaw. He kind of underachieved with the 49ers. But this kid was a stud coming out of college. And he wouldn't cost too much. Spotrac got him for 2 years for $10 million, $10.5 million. He's young, still young, and possibly a change of scenery could do wonders for him. That's something to take note. That's something I would think about if you're looking to just fill in and get a player who can. Again, this is all rotational.
What about here? There's a name that this guy brought up, El Captain. How about Huff from the Jets?
Yes, I'm bringing Bryce Huff. I'm going to bring him up on the edges, and El Capitano. You're two steps ahead of me, man. Let's go to the edges, and I'll bring Bryce Huff up. I read an article how he is projected. I forgot which magazine. It could be the Sporting News. It could have been Sports Illustrated. I don't remember ESPN, but they felt that he was probably the most obvious choice for the Giants to go after at the edge position.
Which one? Say that again.
Bryce Huff.
Bryce Huff. There we go. Okay.
Yep. But they're saying a 4-year Spotrac has him at 4-year, $9 million a year, total $36 million, which is when you look at the other guys out there on the board, like we all know who they are. You got the kid out of Minnesota who's going to get a big contract, probably almost $20 million. Josh Allen's probably going to get something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be big.
It's going to be big, right? And guys, I would love to have Josh Allen. I wanted him in the draft. I wanted him in the draft, but unfortunately, it's not going to be with the way we need to fill holes, and we have only a limited cap space. I don't think it's at all possible.
Yeah.
And another guy who I like, and his name has been thrown out with the Giants for years, and they never seem to get him, and that's Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd.
He's been thrown around from the Giants for a long time.
All the time. He always signs with somebody, but again, here's a guy that looking at him. Spotrac has him for a 1-year, $6 million deal. Now he's the kind of guy who could be a specialist edge rusher. I don't see him a 3-down edge rusher, and that's fine. That's fine. The Giants got to get somebody in there because you can't rely on Ojulari.
No, we can't rely on Ojulari in the free agency.
Yeah, and you got to help out Kayvon Thibodeau because you can't expect him to carry the load. I don't know if he's ready to be that kind of player to carry the load.
Yeah,
he did a good job last year, but he still needs to completely complete his game and run support. But he did great as a pass rusher.
Yeah.
I got another guy I put as a question mark, and I want to tell me what you think. DJ Woolen, the kid out of Minnesota. He's only 26 years old. He had a good year. He not only did a good year as a pass rusher, he didn't have double digits, but he had about 6, 7 sacks. But he also did good against the run. And they're looking at a 3-year deal at $6 million per year. So
yeah, listen, that's in a range. I mean, I'm willing to explore it.
right. But
You know?
that's a guy who, I mean, these are the numbers that you're looking at, guys. I see here we have one guy say the Giants should have drafted Floyd. What year did Floyd come out? What year was that? Was that when we drafted? Was that when we drafted Eli Apple? If you guys know,
I don't think so. That felt a little too early. Hold on.
Yeah, look at that and let me know if someone knows there. I remember Floyd when he come out. I think it was coming out of Georgia.
Yeah, 2016. So you're right. That was the.
Yeah, and where did he go? We picked Eli Apple at 10, right?
Yeah, we got Eli Apple at 10. He went at 9, so he was like 1 early.
Oh, he went early, Floyd.
Yeah.
So we couldn't have got him anyway.
Yeah. Here's a dude that never really quite lived up to his career potential, but he's still a good player, you know?
Yeah, he's a good player. And like I said, I think he's a more of a specialist. He's not going to give you 3-down performances if you put him in there in packages. I think he can contribute and definitely help out on the other side of the line across from Thibodeau.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And again, I mean, anybody they get for the free agency is complimentary, but draft might be where they end up going with 6. Again, I mean, if there's no quarterback available the Giants want to take and the Giants don't feel comfortable or the trading up doesn't become an option because the teams up early aren't willing to,
right?
Well, then it's going to be really tough. So, then the Giants have to figure out what they really want to do at that point.
And we'll dive into that. But I will say this one thing, guys. It happens every year. We've seen it. There's going to be a shocker within the first 6, 7 picks.
Totally. How about the Texans last year trading up for the 3rd pick after already having the 2nd pick?
Let me tell you something. That was a phenomenal GM move.
Totally.
What he did. I didn't see that coming.
Why not just get the ballers? Get the guys that are going to ball out. Just get them.
Yeah. And there's going to be a talent at that 6th spot. There's going to be talent, whether it's offensive line, whether it's defense, whether it's wide receiver. I know Spartan don't want to hear that one, but there's going to be talent. There's going to be talent there, and these guys got to trust Joe Shane.
Yeah,
he knows what he's doing, man. You got to trust him.
No, absolutely.
All right, let's go do the offense. We'll see the draft when we do the draft show.
All right, sounds good. So let's go into the offense right away. Just a few positions I'm going to kind of list out here.
Okay.
The most critical ones I wanted to go into are running backs in case we move on from Barkley.
Right.
And also what we're going to do at offensive line. The one position group that I skipped out on for the night is actually receivers. I personally don't find it's worth talking about every free agent receiver that comes here. It doesn't matter. We don't have a foundation in place to get these guys the ball. I'm sure we'll get somebody who's half average, but I just don't see them going for somebody who's like significantly good. So it's not even worth talking about. In my opinion.
Let me ask you a quick question. We know right now, definite Hyatt, right? Robinson, definite for next year, right? Would you say Slayton definite?
Slayton, I could imagine. I mean, he had a good game at the end of the year.
He had 2 good games in a row. He did, yeah. 2 long touchdown. And the Giants they can cut him, and not suffer a large dead money. I'm not saying they will. They should, but I'm just saying. So let's assume he's a go.
Yeah.
Normally you keep 6. On the average, 6 wide receivers, right, on your roster?
Yes.
Okay, so would you think they're going to bring Hodgins back?
I think they bring Hodgins back. Yeah, he's a young guy. He had a good season last year or 2 years ago. Didn't really do so great this past year.
And I have no problem with that. I like him. So that's 2 spots they got to fill. Now they do have some kids from the that are in the injury reserve. The kid Bryce Ford Wheaton, who they picked up in the unsigned phase, UDFA. They're high on him because they paid him a lot of money to sign him. So it's going to be interesting. I agree with you, Spartan. I don't think they're going to go crazy signing a wide receiver. I think they're going to go through the draft to get a wide receiver.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So running backs, who do you have?
I have. Well, one guy that was surprising, I didn't realize, how much he's fallen off, and it's worth just talking about. I mean, if they move on from Saquon for much cheaper,
Okay.
Derrick Henry is actually available. I'm going to imagine that he's not going to want to go to a team of the Giants' nature, but I think it's worth the Giants probing and just seeing what he wants.
Right.
He's slated to get like $5.5 million at this point. That would be a lot lower than what Saquon's getting. And at least they have a steady guy with experience. It's had, it is, does have talent at that position. So that is one option. Other explosive guys that are declining, one other guy who's of that range. I mean, DeAndre Swift, they can acquire about 2. He's had some mixed success. He's a decent player.
That's a kid from Eagles, right? He played in the Eagles this year?
Yeah, he's from the Eagles. Yep. But I'll be honest, like when you go beyond that, it significantly declines. Cordell Patterson, Tony Pollard, Gus Edwards, who we were just talking about. I don't see, unless the Ravens get Saquon and Gus Edwards, that ends up with us, I could see that happening, but I don't know. I mean, the running back, just to give you an idea of some of the running backs that will be available. Let me pull it up. Who are the ones that I'm missing that are going for big money? Not Swift.
Now, this is, mind you, this is the Giants. If they don't even give Saquon a franchise tag, he's a total free agent.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. If they give him a franchise tag and he refuses to sign, then they could try to figure out, there's a time period where they could try to figure out they could sign him or they could try to trade him.
Yep.
Is that right? Did anybody know that? I mean, I'm not.
What if they tag him? They can do a tag and trade.
Okay. Because I don't think Saquon will want to. He signed a 1-year deal because he held out with the tag. So I don't think he'll sign a franchise tag. So
no, I don't think so either.
I don't think he wants to do another 1-year deal, Spartan. I mean, I don't know Saquon, so I'm just speculating. Just thinking about his age, and he probably want to get a little more security. I don't think he'll sign another 1-year deal, so it could be a thing where they tag him and they force a trade.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
For picks or another player, of course, we don't know.
So I mean, I just like for example, I just want to give you an example of what I was talking about earlier. Like Austin Eckler is available, but the Giants if they're not going to sign Saquon, they're not going to get him. I don't see it. So, it's a complicated situation because, do I think the Giants, do I personally think the right move to do is to build around Saquon like they've been trying to do the last 4 years? I
think that ship's passed. You can't build
I think it has too. This is really controversial, Mike, and you might hate me for it, although Craig will give me a lot of guff for it. I know you might be a little bit more reserved. Saquon's good, but I don't think he's that great anymore. I mean, he lost a bit of a step last year. And there's a couple things he doesn't do that I want to see, and that's more consistency. And okay, you're running the ball. He loses yards as easily as he, can get a 50-yard break off. Even when we have those 50-yard break off plays, I mean, it doesn't always result in wins because we need to consistently drive that ball, and it's better to do that with the passing game. When we do the screen plays, he's not good at that. He bobbles the ball a little bit. And look, I mean, a lot of offenses use the running back as an extra blocker. It's not just us, and he can't really effectively just hold the ground for a little bit. He's not, in my mind, he's not what Derrick Henry was a few years ago, which is what that's what I want in a running back, like 28-19 Derrick Henry. Give me that. But that's just it. It's to me. I know he sells jerseys. I know a lot of fans love him, but the ship's kind of sailed for me. Loving Saquon as much. He's a good dude and a good player, and I want him to go to a good team to finish his career. But I think his value's replaceable.
He's not the Saquon. Obviously, 2018. He's not.
No, his rookie year
He's
was
not.
incredible, and
Yeah.
it's a shame. It's a shame. So anyway, that's really it for running backs. Derrick Henry and Swift, if they want to go for somebody who's not really too much money, but still gives you a little bit of value, from there, the trade-off, it all declines. It all declines a lot from there.
So what you're saying, if they don't bring back Barkley or he don't want to come back or whatever, it's going to be more right now. It could be a running back of committee of running backs.
Absolutely. So, I mean, they're going to have to if that happens, but they might also draft a running back if that's the situation because there's plenty of talent. I mean, get that Michigan guy that's going to be available in like third or fourth round. Go for him.
He's like, he reminds me of Joe Morris,
Yeah.
Oh, 5'8", what's that? 5'8", 215. I mean, he's a fire plug.
He's a great athlete, terrific player.
Very productive, very a good player. He's a good player and a winner, right? He's a winner.
Yep. Now let's let's go on to the biggest sore subject. Actually, no, I'm going to start with one more group that the Giants need to look at. I mean, I think they're going to cut Waller this offseason.
Do you know what the dead money would be? I didn't look at him.
Not that much, and they get a lot more in return. Like if they cut him, they're saving a lot of money.
Okay,
he's the biggest free agency or cutting save that the Giants have on the roster. Like if they cut him right now, we get a lot in return. He's making music videos now, so I don't really trust what he's going to end up doing here, or that he's going to be back. I can't see it. But that player is actually Mike Gesicki. He's from New Jersey. He's 28 years old. He's an okay tight end. He's not a great one. He's going to go for probably around $4.5, $5, $6 million. He's up in New England right now. He was pretty solid when he was playing for Miami. Not an explosive player, but we don't really need one. We just need a guy that's going to be a steady, decent tight end. I think he's a guy that could easily fit the bill.
Okay.
All right. Are you familiar with him that much?
A little bit. I focused on the defense side of the ball when we were doing this, and I didn't really follow him.
Yeah.
But, not as much.
All right. That was just one name I wanted to note because I really do think that tight end is now going to be a thing they're going to have to look into. And then they can explore other guys. Noah Fant. I mean, if they want to look down at those levels, I mean, go for it. They're not going to get a Hunter Henry type player. It's not going to happen. And yeah, so I mean, it was worth bringing up the tight end, but the offensive line is really the most significant item that we got to talk about tonight.
Mm-hmm. And that I do know there are options there that aren't going to break the bank. It's going to cost you a little bit, but it's not going to break. And there's some players there who you could plug and play there for a number of years, and I know you have them there. So
yep.
It's there. So let's see. We already know one. Capdown gave it away. One of them, familiar name. We already got him. Might as well get him out of the way. Let's talk about a familiar face and name.
Yes. So talk about O-line. The players. Let's start at the top. Let me actually go with centers real quick. And we don't need center. We got JMS. He's going to get another year. No reason to move on. But I do like a little bit of depth at that position. All these guys, under $2 million, have some starter experience. And I especially like the guys because I've seen so many guys that were rookies with the Giants on rookie deals, left the Giants, started balling out with other teams, kind of like Will Hernandez. He's a solid player. So the Giants will try to do the same thing. And here's one named Matt Hennessy. Is somebody that they should look at. He's a center for the Falcons who hasn't really worked out. His career, hasn't really gotten on the launch pad. He was drafted around 2020, so he's still young.
Where was he? I think he went to
Falcons.
No. I'm thinking college. I remember scouting him. I remember him. Hennessy.
He's from New York too, so he was
Temple. That's right. That's right.
And he was a third-round pick. He's a decent player. He's so-and-so player. He's had an injury history, but there's a good depth piece. Go for it. Another guy, Will Clapp from the Chargers. And Lloyd Cushberry from the Broncos. Just all three starter-level experience, cheap deal. That's what they should do for depth in case JMS gets hurt. There's going to be injuries. It's the Giants. I don't trust the turf. So I think it's important to kind of solidify the depth of the Giants' offensive line with more veterans and less rookies. I hate the test trials with a 22-year-old that went in the fourth
Can't
round.
have too many. There's too many rookies are not good. You got to have a
Way
blend.
too many rookie contracts that don't pan out. Lemieux, I mean, just it's all chump change at that part.
Yep. And you know what Shane likes too? He likes guys who are versatile, who can play multiple positions on the line. I've noticed that when you got Zudu, and you got McCutcheon, they both can play any guard position. They play tackles. So he likes guys like that. He really does. Who else you have? Are you still in the centers? You jump into
the we're probably good on centers right now. But other players that I have, for guard is the next group, and I don't expect them really to make any splash moves at tackle. They could, but guards, Zeitler. I think Zeitler is a shoo-in at guard as a potential guy, but he might be a little bit too expensive, and I don't know if he wants to end his career with the Giants. That's the big question mark. We've had him before.
Yeah, he might want to stay with the Ravens,
Yep. Hey, real quick, NYBS, I will be with you in just a minute on that because there are a couple guys from the Raiders.
Yep, that's a good point too, by the way. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Graham Glasgow from the Lions. Again, he's a tenured guy in Detroit. Maybe he doesn't want to end his career anywhere else, but they're going to run into some caps issues in the next couple of years. So he's another guy that I would like just as veteran piece. Andrew Pete. Now we're talking about like the super heavyweights of like, this is actually solid value. That's top notch. If the Giants want to, if that's where they want to spend their money, what they have this offseason, I'm in. Just get the talent on the offensive line. Greg Van Roten, he's the first dude from the Raiders. He does have some star level experience, very cheap contract. I do expect Brasillo might try to lure him over to the Giants. He's not the main guy from the Raiders that I want to talk about, though. Connor Williams from Miami is another top-notch dude. I know you're a big fan of him, right, Truth?
Yeah, and him and another guy who also plays in that team. I don't know if you have him on your list, but I am. Connor Williams can play multiple positions on the offensive line. And once he left Dallas, he got better with Miami. It takes players sometimes a couple of years to figure it out in this league. So he's definitely a good option.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have the other guy, if you know who I'm talking about, who plays on Miami as well. I like him too. If you have him, I don't know if you have him, Robert Hunt.
That's who you really like from Miami. Okay.
Yeah, I like that guy. I like that guy. He's another guy that's going to be very sought after. So his price tag could go up a bit higher than a Zeitler would be, or maybe a Connor Williams. But he's a good player. He's a big brawler. The Giants need more nastiness.
They do.
On the inside. They got to start. They got to start winning the line of scrimmage battles. They gotta.
Yeah.
I don't care about the passing league. You still got to win the battles in the trenches and run the ball. You have to.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more at all. So totally with you. Totally freaking with you on this. They got to start winning the trenches at this guard position. So just in my opinion, that's where the money goes for the offseason. In my opinion, the guard position.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Last but not least, offensive tackle. One guy I want them to look at because I don't want them to completely give up on Neal, but Jermaine Illuminar, he's a dude that they got to look at. He's a swing tackle for the Raiders, but when he goes in, he's good. He's coming over. He's been with Brasillo a couple times, I'm pretty sure. I think it would be a great move for the Giants to get this dude. That to me is a no-brainer. We're talking $3.5 million for that level of play for a swing tackle. Go for it.
Yeah, and it protects you should Neal keep digressing.
Exactly. So, but yeah, no, that's pretty much it for who I have on the offensive line. That is my summary of the offense. I don't really want to speculate on quarterbacks too much because they're a little bit limited there. I would like to bring Tyrod back if the money made sense, but it doesn't. So,
right.
That's kind of the situation moving forward. But any final thoughts, Truth?
Well, how about this real quick? Do you think, and again, guys, I see a lot of stuff in here about players, and we're going to talk about some of these players in the draft. But do you think the strategy with Joe Shane will be to get a backup quarterback, a veteran, in case Daniel Jones doesn't come back on time or is productive? Or do you think he's going to try to be bold and try to get, assuming he thinks the top three are the same top three everybody else likes, and guys, he may like somebody else in his top three that he may like McCarty as one of his top three, not the three that we think or the media tells us. So we don't know. But what do you think is a typical Joe Schoen move what he might do?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he loves the Bills players, right? So I feel like, I mean, they are very much like they know their guys. They're going with those guys. So it's really tough to assess what he might end up doing.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I've seen out of Shane where things are a little bit predictable. But outside of that, I mean, it's really up in the air. Do you have any thoughts towards it?
Well, I don't, I see a lot of stuff here that, they should do whatever they can to get that quarterback. I don't think that's going to happen. This is just my take on this.
Yeah, you mean with the trade ups? Like, are they going to trade up
yes.
for the quarterback?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. And you made a good point too. Maybe they don't want to trade out.
I tell you what, because Shane does have a little bit of a career riding on whether or not he can draft a quarterback successfully, like whether or not he can get the franchise quarterback for the Giants. So that is resting on him. But I don't think he's a buffoon. I don't think he wants to reach for a quarterback. So the thing is this,
right?
The teams that have the earlier picks, are they going to, are they going to want, are they going to want a quarterback? Are they willing to trade back for a particular position? I don't know. I see that's kind of the challenge here. And
would he trade back, Spartan? Would he trade back if even if there was a quarterback that everyone thinks we got to get? We all think we're GMs. It's fun, but I'm sure his draft board looks different than what we see. The media puts on the board and what they think, it's totally different. So,
it's totally different. It's just that I actually am not a huge fan of trading back, though. They got the 6th pick, and if a bunch of quarterbacks go, then they got to look at, like, do you have a Micah Parsons type player up there at edge? And if so, get him. Don't waste your time trading back to get two semi, good players at the late first. It's because it's a mystery box.
Spartan's showing his hand. Spartan's showing his hand who he might want.
Yeah, right.
So you like the kid out of UCLA? Not too loud. What's his name?
So
because all reports is he's probably the first defensive player off the board.
Right, it's either him or Marv. Yeah, you're right. He's the first.
Or the kid out of Alabama, Dallas Turner. Right? Is that the other kid who's talked about?
Yeah,
an edge rusher.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what they're going to do. I see Chris D saying get JJ. And by the way, guys, Spartan and I are going to do our draft show. We're going to have 2 shows featuring quarterback position because I think we have to look at both sides of the coin. Would Shane look to get a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, or what if he doesn't and gets a quarterback on day 3?
Right.
That they are so high on and they're willing to let him develop for a year or 2. We don't know. So, and there are out there. There's a couple of guys we're gonna tell you about that are fit those criteria. So,
yep.
It's going to be interesting. I just don't see the Giants. I think you agree, going crazy, frenzy on the free agency.
No,
fill spots, fill holes up. Get reliable players. No, not stars, but players that can contribute, be productive. Team atmosphere. I think that's what they're going to do.
Yep,
that's
all
they can do.
I agree. So, Truth, we're going to host this draft show, and we're going to be going live starting in a week here, right?
Yeah, well, it was I think January 31st. So it's
January 31st, the first date. Yep.
Yeah, that's our first show. It's going to be every Wednesday, unless we let you know there'll be certain days it won't be. That's because Spartan and I have other prior commitments with the media.
Yeah.
No.
Oh
But
man.
it's going to be good. We're going to have guest stars. We're going to have some of our own colleagues on, and we're working on trying to get outside guests that we had in the past that we enjoy having them on because they have a lot of insight and they do a lot of work with the draft like we do. So it's fun to talk about it and to speculate. Mark Thompson, you hold that comment. I see what you wrote there. Spartan may not be happy with that one, but
Let's see. It looks like there's a lot of parity at many positions. The O-line prospects, maybe 3 QBs and some tight ends stand out.
no, you got to go up. You named the prospect. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I don't like that guy at all.
Spartan don't like him.
Yeah, he's a bad personality take. Spencer Ratner's a bad dude. I wouldn't go for him. I would stay away from that dude at all costs.
Well, maybe we'll get Mark Thompson on for that. Let him talk about Spencer Rattler with you on Draft Show.
Yeah, we'll bring him up at the very
See
end.
if you can change your mind.
Yeah, but
I will
anyway,
say this, guys.
We're signing off here. Thank you all for a great episode. We appreciate your time. God bless and have a good night.
Take care, guys.